For 500 years, it was the center of the Western world, an empire of incredible engineering, unstoppable legions, and brutal conquest. But, to really get the story of Rome, we can't just look at the emperors and the monuments. We have to look at the people who actually built it, the machine that powered it all, and the secrets hidden beneath the seas that it commanded. So to understand this epic empire, let's begin, not with an emperor in a golden palace, but with a single soldier on a very brutal frontier. Our story starts in the year 15 AD, and this man, Servius Felix, is who we're following. He's not an emperor, not a general, he's a legionary. He signed up when he was 18, 8 years ago. And for a kid like him, the son of a dirt-poor farmer, the army wasn't really a choice, was it? It was the only path, the only chance to maybe, just maybe, have a future. And this is his reality. Every single day. The armor and weapons alone, his sword, that iconic shield, his throwing spears, we're talking over 20 kilograms. But it's his backpack that tells the real story. It's not just food in there. It's the tools of empire. A spade, a saw, a pickaxe. See, he wasn't just a soldier. He was a builder, an engineer, a one-man construction crew. Think about that. Servius signed his life away for 25 years. He's still got the 3 gold coins they gave him when he enlisted, a tiny fortune he has guarded with his life. If he can somehow survive another 17 years of this, he gets a small plot of land to call his own. That's the dream. That, and the girl he loves back home, who he hopes he'll one day get to marry. It's what keeps him going. You see, a soldier's life was just relentless hardship. Today, his legion just finished what they called a Great March. That's 36 kilometers, with all that gear through hostile territory. And out here, in the dark forests of Germania, there are no nice paved Roman roads. So the soldiers become the engineers. They have to build their own bridges, their own pathways through swamps. They're fighting the landscape just as much as they're fighting any enemy. But this march ends somewhere truly awful, a place of nightmares. Teutoburg Forest. 6 years ago, Servius was here. He was one of the very few who survived a catastrophic ambush, a massacre that wiped out 3 entire legions. And now, he's back. Not to fight, but to bury the bones of his friends. As he works, every skull he uncovers could be someone he knew. This whole grand story of empire, it really rests on the shoulders of millions of men like Servius, who carried its weight in both iron and in memory. Section 2. An empire of infrastructure. Okay, so from the world of that one soldier, let's zoom out. Let's look at the vast machine he served. Because this was an empire built not just on armies, but on a foundation of engineering the world had never, ever seen before. I mean, just try to wrap your head around the sheer scale of it. The Roman state controlled a territory that stretched from the cold, windy frontiers of Britain in the north, all the way down the sun-baked coast of North Africa, and then pushed deep into the ancient lands of the Middle East. At its peak, we're talking about an empire of over 16 million people spread across 3 continents, all under the control of Rome. So how did they hold it all together? Well, they did it with roads. Over 80,000 kilometers of paved highways. These were engineering marvels that basically carved a new map across Europe. And these weren't just for armies. They were the arteries of the empire, carrying trade, messengers, and control. It was a revolutionary idea that the whole world was now connected, with all roads, of course, leading to Rome. And the primary tool for all this expansion and control? The legion. It was a perfectly disciplined fighting force of 5,000 men, broken down into smaller, more flexible units. And at the very front marched the eagle bearer, carrying the standard that was, quite literally, the soul of the legion. This was the razor's edge of Roman power. But to truly rule the world, Rome had to conquer something even bigger than land. Section 3. Mastery of the seas. But here's the thing. All those legions, all those incredible roads, they weren't enough. The real secret to Rome's power, its true dominance, lay somewhere else. And to understand it, we have to look at the empire's single greatest challenge, just feeding its own massive heart. By the 1st century AD, the city of Rome had 1 million people living in it. 1 million! It was the biggest city the world had ever seen. And if those 1 million people got hungry, they would riot. The emperor's power, his very life, depended on keeping the grain flowing into the city. So how on earth did they do it? The answer was the sea. Rome figured out that to truly dominate, it had to control the entire Mediterranean.
It became their highway, their lifeline. They didn't just sail it, they owned it. They even had a name for it, Mare Nostrum, our sea. That's the ultimate expression of power right there. And this just shows their logistical genius. To feed the city, they built this lost superport called Portus. The system was incredible. Giant ships from across the sea would dock at a huge outer harbor. Then the cargo was moved to the stunning 80-acre hexagonal basin inside, where over 100 ships could dock at once. From there, the grain was loaded onto smaller river barges, which traveled up a man-made canal, connecting the port directly to the Tiber River and straight into Rome. It's just an absolutely astonishing masterpiece of logistics.
So how is any of this even possible? Well, the Romans had a secret weapon: hydraulic concrete. By mixing a special volcanic ash called pozzolana with lime, they created a concrete that, and this is amazing, actually hardened underwater. This let them build anything, anywhere, even gigantic harbors on an open, sandy coast. It was a technological leap that literally let them reshape the earth to their will. Section 4. The economy of empire. All right, so you've got this incredible military and infrastructure machine. But it needs fuel, right? Well, Rome built an economic engine on an industrial scale to provide it, and in the process, they totally transformed entire landscapes. Just think about something as simple as olive oil. It was the fuel of Roman life, used for cooking, for lamps, even as soap. To keep up with demand, they turned huge parts of Spain into massive olive farms, producing over 7 million liters of oil for the city of Rome alone, every single year. This wasn't farming, this was industry. And to pay for all that, Rome needed cold, hard cash. From that same region in Spain, Roman mines pulled out unbelievable amounts of silver. It's estimated they minted 9 million silver coins each year, just from this one area. This wasn't just mining, it was an industrial operation designed to funnel wealth straight to the heart of the empire. So you have these two colossal industries running side by side. On one hand, you've got this agricultural revolution creating a whole economy of growers and transporters. On the other, a brutal mining operation with an estimated 40,000 workers, many of them slaves, toiling in the dark for profit. This immense productivity created a golden age. But it all came at a price. Section 5. The price of power. The roads, the aqueducts, the endless supply of grain, the silver coins, it all paints this picture of unbelievable power and sophistication. But beneath the surface of this sparkling new empire, there was a hidden cost, a very dark side. So what was the price for all this progress? What were the real consequences of this vast industrial machine running at full steam for centuries? Well, the evidence, believe it or not, comes from Greenland. Scientists drilled deep into the ice sheets and analyzed air bubbles that were trapped there 2,000 years ago. And what they found is just staggering. A sharp, unmistakable spike in atmospheric methane, a greenhouse gas that lines up perfectly with the peak of the Roman Empire. The pollution from Roman silver smelting and mass deforestation was so huge it literally changed the Earth's atmosphere, a footprint 2,000 years old that we can still measure today. But the environmental cost, it pales in comparison to the human one. The incredible wealth of Rome was built on the backs of the exploited. This is from a tombstone found near those Spanish mines. It remembers a boy named Quintus. He was just 4 years old when he died. And on his grave, he's shown as a miner, holding a little pick and a basket, ready for work. A child, remembered only for his labor. And that's when you see the truth. For every magnificent aqueduct, for every silver coin, for every great victory, there were people like Quintus, an invisible underclass of slaves and laborers whose names are lost to history. They are the foundation that the glory of Rome was built on. And it leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? What is the true measure of an empire? Is it its grand monuments and its power? Or is it the price paid by the countless invisible people who lived and died in its shadow?